Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So we have some developments in the Simone Biles versus Riley Gaines saga. Simone Biles has apologized and Riley Gaines has responded to her apology. So let's take a look. We had Jemele Hill, no surprises there, defending Simone Biles initially, saying, "Simone Biles is a far better human being than you'll ever be. You are a trash person who can't stop terrorizing a group of people for your own gain. Weaponizing SA is disgusting and shows you lack integrity, honor, and decency. I promise you will one day need the compassion you lack." That was Jemele Hill's response to Riley Gaines, pointing out the fact that boys being allowed in girls' locker rooms isn't a good idea, even in the name of sports, even in the name of gender identity. Stephen A. Smith said that Riley Gaines went too far when she brought the convicted offender Larry Nassar into the discussion. He said, "Respectfully, Gaines, I was with you until that last quote. Respectfully, that's going a bit too far. Talking about transgender women in sports is one issue. Using a guy like Larry Nassar, one of the most despicable human beings we've ever witnessed on this earth, who molested and abused numerous women, numerous gymnasts, including Biles, to go that low, Gaines, you lost all credibility."
You could have made your argument without going that far. No matter what Simone Biles said to you, how she may disagree with you on your position did not warrant you to go that far. Certainly, you're not suggesting that it was okay for her to be molested. Certainly, you're not suggesting it was okay for her to be abused. So why would you say something like that? That's just cruel. Just because she said something that hurt your feelings didn't mean that you had to double down on it by being a gazillion times worse, which, Riley Gaines, is what you are at this particular moment in time. I'm speaking specifically about you going that far. Having said that, the points that you made to Simone Biles outside of the Larry Nassar comment, that should give us all cause to pause. The reality is that it is a disservice to women in a lot of people's eyes.
She did say, "To make my position on both topics very, very clear, I hope Larry Nassar spends the rest of his life rotting away and miserable in prison. Gymnasts were failed by a system that protected an abusive man at the expense of the girls' safety. Men don't belong in women's sports. Female athletes continue to be failed by a system that protects abusive men at the expense of the girls' safety." So that's what she posted after the initial tweet. Well, fast forward today, everybody weighing in, giving their opinion about this situation. Simone Biles has now officially apologized via X. She said the following: "I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sport. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges, and it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answers or solutions to, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for politics that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want a future for sport that is fair, inclusive, and respectful." So, before we get into Riley's response, my response to what Simone said there: sports is simply based on merit. Nothing is based more on merit than sports. And that's it. If you qualify to compete in a particular event, then you will be competing in that event. And that's all that the focus should be on. So when it comes to male athletes competing in women's sports, We are noticing that merit doesn't come into the situation because they shouldn't even be in that category to begin with. And that is hurting female athletes. So in terms of inclusivity, coming up with a way to be inclusive, sports is solely based on performance, on how well you do. That's it. And we should never have deviated away from that. But everybody in sports has to compete in the correct category so that we get a true reflection of how well someone has done and how fair someone has acquired certain, accolades and titles and medals. Just like we don't accept doping, people taking performance-enhancing drugs in sports. We don't accept that because that is cheating. When we cross the line between merit and cheating, that is unacceptable. Male athletes competing in women's categories is a form of cheating. That is a fact. Because we know that male athletes are built differently from females. That's why we have categories to begin with. So she's apologized for getting personal with Riley, referring to her as a male or comparing her to a male athlete. Okay. But unfortunately, this is affecting children. This is affecting little girls. And in standing up for little girls, we have to point out when we see injustice against them. Simone didn't mention the locker room situation, but that is another factor. And like I said in my previous video, it isn't about a single athlete. It is about the system that has allowed it in the first place. But when we see it, we have to call it out. Otherwise, people are not going to know what we're dealing with here. We've seen little girls protesting in middle school, refusing to compete against a male athlete. And good on them. But as long as this affects little girls, we have to point out when there are male athletes in their competitions who shouldn't be there. And we can do so respectfully. But pointing it out in itself is just stating fact, it's just stating the reality of what we're dealing with. Have that same energy when it comes to defending these little girls who are forced to have little boys in their locker rooms, who are forced to compete against male athletes against their will. Have that same energy for the girls. Because the people being affected are also children, and they shouldn't be subjected to that. I want to accept your apology. Pick. Fair competition or inclusion. You can't have both. It's not fair to include boys in with girls. Riley was singling out the girls to let them know they have support against being cheated. They need to know someone is in their corner. Who wrote this? It took 48 hours to write this? These are not complicated issues unless you don't believe female human beings are deserving of the same rights and respect as males. No males belong in female sport. None. Zero. Not even the ones who really don't like playing nice with their male peers, or the ones who are really bad at sports. If there were a 15-year-old gymnast who had cheated you out of Olympic gold, Simone, would you call her out on it? Would you be frustrated if others did not call her out on it? Or would you tell the people calling her out and bringing attention to it to stop bullying kids? Absolutely ridiculous. Everyone is included in sport. Everyone just has to follow the same rules. Bodies play sports, not ideas people have about themselves. And the men and boys you attacked another woman on behalf of don't want their own category. This has been referred to as segregation, ghettoization, even genocide. Swimming tried it. No one entered. They want to dominate women and girls in female spaces and sports. Well done for apologising for your attack on Riley. You should probably think about the fact that the only reason you can advocate for third spaces without being condemned as an evil bigot is thanks to the work of women like her. I could read these all day. So let's see what Riley had to say. I accept Simone's apology for the personal attacks, including the ones where she body shamed me. I know she knows what this feels like. She's still the greatest female gymnast of all time. A couple of things. Sports are inclusive by nature. Anyone can and everyone should play sports. Competition, on the other hand, and by definition, is exclusive. So the idea of competitive equity is nonsensical. Secondly, the boys are publicly humiliating the girls. To suggest that women and girls must be silent or ignore a boy who is publicly hurting or humiliating them is wrong. You can't have any empathy or compassion for the girls if you're ignoring when young men are harming or abusing them. I am not ashamed to be a voice for the voiceless. Lastly, I agree with you that the blame is on the lawmakers and leaders at the top. Precisely why I'm suing the NCAA and support candidates who vow to stand with women. That's why I joined the real Donald Trump at the signing of an executive order. I didn't see you there or championing this effort with your platform. Women's sports can't be used as an excuse for girls to center the feelings and validation of men and boys. I welcome you to the fight to support fair sports and a future for female athletes. Little girls deserve the same shot to achieve that you had. So yeah, very well written there. The female category is exclusive. It excludes males. So why are we trying to find ways to incorporate men into a category that is specifically designed to exclude men? Makes no sense. Stop acting like we can think our way into including men into the female category. There's no way to include men into the female category because then it wouldn't be a female category. There's no genius solution that anyone can come up with except to destroy the female category and take that away from women and girls. That's the only outcome if we allow boys or men into that category on account of identity. So I agree with Riley. We can't claim to have compassion towards the women and girls if we're going to ignore the athletes who are causing harm to them, the male athletes who are in their category who shouldn't be there. We can't ignore that at the same time. It doesn't make sense. So let me know what you think about Simone's apology. Do you accept her apology as well? Do you think that it's adequate? It does appear that they've come to some sort of amicable understanding, so that's nice. And do you think sports needs to be more inclusive? And what do you think about Riley's response to the apology? Do you think she was very gracious and that's a good thing? Or do you think she should have been a bit more harsh? So thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.